Hi everybody, welcome to our second part of our pre-recorded discussion about the seventh module of our science class, and this is all about the ecological relationship in our ecosystem. So please check out in the description for the link of the first video that we have about the ecosystem, about the biotic and abiotic factors of the ecosystem. And now let's proceed to the second part, and this is all about the ecological relationship in our ecosystem, how the different organisms in the ecosystem interact with each other. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, in the ecosystems or within an ecosystem, the species living in a particular area can interact in different ways with each other. Their interaction may be beneficial or harmful, but the overall effect is dynamic balance among the organisms and the population that make up the ecosystem. So when we look around us, we can see a lot of living organisms, the plants, the animals, the trees, the different animals around us, the different organisms around us. And these different organisms, they interact with each other. Okay, so here is, these are the different interaction in the ecosystem. The first one, we call this as the competition. So this competition happen when members of the same or different species attempt to use resources that are limited in supply and end up competing for these resources. So that is a competition, because they compete, they have the same goal, and they compete towards that same resources. As you can see in the picture, that this hyena and the tiger or the leopard, they are trying to compete with the same food, which is this, I think this is wild boar. So that is all about competition. Okay, next one is herbivory. Okay, herbivory is the process whereby an animal eats a plant or a plant-like organism such as a seaweed or phytoplankton. So I'm sure that you are familiar with this, that these worms will eat the leaves. Okay, so that is called herbivory, and that is one interaction in our surroundings, so that also these worms will live. So that's the reason why they eat the food or the leaves in the surroundings. Okay, another one, we have this predation. So you can see in the video that the cheetah is chasing an antelope, and that is because the cheetah is the prey, the predator, and the antelope is the prey. So it involves a violent fight. You can see in the video that they are chasing each other, so it will involve a violent fight between a predator and a prey, with one killing the other to survive. That is an example of predation. Okay, another one also, we have scavenging. You can see in the picture that after the cheetah eats the antelope, so it has a lot of remains. So these vultures are now the scavengers. It is a unique relationship between two organisms that takes place with a living organism feed on the remains of a dead animal. Okay, so after the cheetah eats the antelope, then it's now time or turn for the vulture to scavenge on the remains of this antelope. Okay, so we have also called this symbiosis, which is very common on the different organisms around us. So sym means together, bio means life, and symbiosis means living together. This symbiosis is very common between the different organisms. So this divided into three also. Okay, there are three types of symbiosis. What are the three types of symbiosis? We have one is the mutualism. Okay, mutualism is when both species benefits from each other. So we can see here the species A, if this is the species A, the species B, they both benefits from each other. Okay, so for example here, the clownfish in our picture a while ago here, this is a clownfish and this is the sea anemone. Okay, so I'm sure that you are familiar with this. When both species benefit from each other, then that is called mutualism. Okay, when one species benefits and one is unaffected, so it was never harmed, then that is called a commensalism. That is the second type of symbiosis. And the third one, when one benefits and the other is harmed, that is called parasitism. The example here is the dog. So the dog is the host, and this tick here are the parasites. Okay, these parasites feeds on the blood of this dog. Like for example, we have our koto also. So those are the parasites, and the dog was being harmed for that, and the dog didn't benefit for that. Only the tick benefit for the dog. So that is an example of parasitism. So you have to remember that when both organisms benefit with each other, they interact and they benefit with each other. That is called mutualism. If one organism benefits and the other one is unaffected, though it never benefit from the other, yet it was not affected, then it is called commensalism. While if the other organisms benefit and the other was harmed, that is called parasitism. In your activity, where's your activity here? Okay, in your activity here in activity 4, it was a multiple choice. So for example, number 1, when a symbiotic relationship benefits both organisms. Okay, we already discussed that when both organisms benefit, the answer that is mutualism, because both organisms benefit. For number 2, the harm species in the parasitic relationship is what? The harm species is called the host. Okay, that is in number 2. Number 3, how does a crocodile benefit from a bird eating from its mouth? So it gets its teeth clean, it gets to eat the bird, so it gets a defense against flies. Okay, so the answer here is it can be letter A or letter C, but the answer here is for letter A. Okay, and number 3 is letter A. Okay, so that is all our the symbiosis is all about. Okay, so I think coming up for our next video is the food chain and the food web. So please refer to the description for the next video for the third part of this discussion about symbiosis, about the ecosystem. So God bless everyone, and happy